if Kirk calls you, would you go up there? And I was like, well, I don't really know the song. I was nervous.
I need you, I gotta go to dialysis tomorrow. But I still need you. Yes, I know, yeah. What the machine can do, you're strong enough to do it. Yes, you are, Jesus. You interceded for me.
I haven't said anything to anybody. Nobody really knows I'm on dialysis. I don't like dialysis. And I mean, at this time, I had gotten some pretty big calls. There were some pretty big decisions that were being made with me in mind. And I had to pass all of that up to do dialysis. And I was angry. I was kind of hurt. I'm like at this part where it's like ad-lib time. And I'm like, I've been struggling with this kidney problem for too long. I've been dealing with the ups and downs of it. I got my children. My family is scared because the only other person with this disease in our family has died. And he had 2 sons, a wife, and 1 son on the way. And it's just like, man, I don't know where I'm at. I just started talking to God through that moment. I'm not as great as I thought I was. I'm not the father that my father was to me like I thought I would be. I don't deserve applause for the things that I should do for my children. I could not let what my current situation was dictate how I handled my praise and worship. People say, oh, you cry a lot. I said, because you don't understand what these tears mean. These aren't tears of hurt and tears of agony and tears of frustration. These are survival tears. I went through too much to try to act so manly that I can't cry in my season. I needed to let that go. Inside of these tears are bad news and messed up relationships and screwed up situations that I put myself in, but I worshiped my way through every single one of them moments.
Hey, what's up? I was just checking out my YouTube analytics and I'm really kind of surprised. You know what? Maybe you thought you were subscribing. YouTube would do crazy stuff and they'll unsubscribe you, this, that, and the other. But do me a favor, please. You already know the song and dance. The more people subscribe, the more it gets pushed out. I really want this content to get pushed out. So if you think you've subscribed, check and make sure. If you haven't subscribed, don't make YouTube analytics think elsewise. All right, back to the episode. Welcome back for another installment of Legacy Conversations, where I am the host, Jasper Williams III. Man, I am so enjoying this run to watch what God is doing. I probably say that every time there's a episode that airs. Maybe it's because I believe it, and maybe it's because I believe that I'm walking in purpose. Well, we've had some really, really interesting, good guest in the past. Today is not going to be anything shy of that. I know this man. I know this man well. Me and my wife have walked with him. We've prayed with him. We've seen God do miracles on his behalf. He's near and dear to our heart. He also has not only some history with my wife and I and the church, but he has some national music interactions, a whole bunch of big name people. I'll let him tell you about that. Would you please help me welcome Josiah JoJo Martin?
Thank you, Rev. Honored to be here.
How's that introduction?
Oh, excellent.
I'll write it for you.
I appreciate
we get AI to write it.
I appreciate it.
Man, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. You're looking great.
So are you, sir.
Thank you.
So are you, sir. One of the things I really appreciate about you, not only everything that I said, but it has been your service and your commitment to the Lord through serving the local church. When we were up in Gwinnett County, up north of Atlanta, we ended up moving through a few stops during that COVID piece, ended up Southwest Atlanta, and you were there at every single stop, never complained, never stopped believing, never tried to jump ship. And man, I always remember you. Wow. But that's just the kind of guy you are.
Yes, sir.
When people know you, they love you, can't help. Me and Alicia in that number.
Oh, wow. I'm honored. And I love you both very much. Your whole family.
Yeah.
Just means so much to me.
Seriously. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. What you been up to?
I just been chilling, recovering from kidney number 2, and just working on music, taking care of the family and trying to be, who I'm supposed to be in this season of my life.
And you just kind of let us just pass by kidney number 2. What happened to kidney number 1?
Kidney number 1 started to fail after about 6 years.
All right.
And my friend Brittany, she gave me that kidney.
Uh-huh.
And so, they told me probably April of 2024 that I would need to go back on dialysis, and I told the doctor, I said, I'm good. I'm not doing that again, and he was just shocked. And he said, well, you know what happens? I said, yeah, I'm good. And he said, well, I'm gonna give you 2 hours. And this lady came in and I'd never seen her again at the hospital. I don't know who she was or where she came from. She was a nurse. I know that. And she said, I want you to know that if you trust God this way again, it doesn't mean that you don't trust him to heal you again. And it was kind of like that because I'm like, well, if he gave me this the first time, I'm going to just trust him to fix it. And she's like, no, if you trust him to heal it or give you another one, you going on dialysis doesn't mean, that your faith isn't the same or isn't just as great. So I agreed. And my prayer was, if I'm supposed to be here, fix it quicker this time. And it was a year and I got a transplant again in a year. Mind you, people were saying I wouldn't get another one. Even the nurse at the dialysis clinic told me that. She said, if I was the doctor, I wouldn't give you another kidney. I told her, I said, the good thing is you're not God. And I know that God knows how to make a fool out of your naysayers. That was on Friday, my last dialysis treatment. And I got a call Sunday after praise and worship.
So, won't he do it?
I did every time.
That I didn't know some of the details that were there. How common is it for people to have 2 kidney transplants? Well, let me ask you first. When did you know the very first time that you were going to have a transplant?
Well, I kind of found out maybe 2013 or so. We were hoping. I knew that my kidney function was low. I went to Northside Hospital. I was there for 30 days. They didn't know what was going on.
How'd you know it was low?
Once they finally did a biopsy, they found out that the function was at like 15%.
What made them even do the biopsy?
Well, I had been touring, so I was gone a lot. During that time, the swine flu had just came out, and I got sick. My daughter was just born. I went to the hospital, and they said, well, if you could hold down this cranberry juice for 9 minutes, they said, we believe you have the swine flu, probably caught it on the airplane. You hold this down for 9 minutes, we'll let you go home because there's not really any medicine we can give you. It's running its course. And I held it down for exactly 9 minutes and it all came up. And I stayed in the hospital for 30 days. They did a biopsy. I had a fever of 102 every day. And they were doing all these tests, they couldn't figure out why. Being in Atlanta, they did all different type of HIV tests I didn't even know they had. Every one of them kept coming back negative. They was like, well, we're going to try this. I'm like, y'all think I got HIV? What's going on?
Yep.
And so they finally did a kidney biopsy and they found out that I had a genetic kidney disease called FSGS. The only 2, it's 6 of us. I'm the 5th boy, 5 boys and 1 girl. The oldest boy had it. And he passed away just of a seizure randomly, but they were going to put him on dialysis. So far, he and I are the only 2 that have it. So no diabetes or anything like that, just this genetic kidney disease. And so that's when we found out. And, I went to pick up the meds that they wanted me to get, prednisone and these different things to try to give some assistance. And she said, well, your kidney function is going back up to normal. Don't pick up the meds. So that happened for about 4 or 5 years where the function would fluctuate. And then I was on tour with Judith Hill and Josh Groban. We were finishing up that tour. I was in Florida and I just wasn't feeling good. They said, you're not eating. Anybody know me? I'm going to eat. So they were like, why are you not at catering? He's not eating. Something is wrong. I went to urgent care. And then
Not there,
that's how they knew.
Something is wrong.
They said, he's not at catering. Something is wrong.
You are a foodie. You are a foodie.
For sure.
Anytime we want to know of a restaurant to go to, it does not take long to get multiple options. Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to go back down. So something is wrong with him. He's not eating.
So I went to urgent care and she says, well, your fever, your temperature, and your blood pressure are in stroke range. So they rushed me to the hospital. And the doctor there says, you need to go on dialysis right now. I said, well, I'm not going on dialysis right now. You haven't explained to me what's wrong with me or what even dialysis is. I have no idea, so until somebody can educate me, I'm not doing anything. So that frustrated them. So they kept me for 10 days. They wouldn't release me. And he said, well, if you want to go home, you sign yourself out. I said, well, I'm not doing that. So we'll just sit here. And I sat there for 10 days. He finally came. He said, well, if you can get a nephrologist in Atlanta, I'll release you to fly home to Atlanta. So I went through, WebMD and all these other things where you could see all these different doctors. And I said, I'll know it when I hear the name. I said, I want me a black nephrologist. And sure enough, popped up Dr. Frida Fisher. I said, if she's white, I'm going to be shocked out of this world. And I talked to her and she said, come in as soon as you get to Atlanta, we'll get you in right away. She said, after looking at your test results, if you do what I tell you to do, I can keep you off of dialysis for 6 months. So this be a lesson for everybody. Advocate for yourself in the hospitals and at the doctors. And she kept me off for exactly 6 months. I lost all this weight to make sure that I wasn't putting no stress on that kidney. And I did dialysis that first time for 5 years until I got to the church.
I was about to ask a question.
Oh, sorry.
Thereafter, I just think that the health moment is so major. Yeah. I don't remember when I said it. If it was on a episode or not. But you cannot have a legacy with bad health.
Can't.
The health ends up challenging what your call is, what your mission is. And I think the church is poor advertisement of health and what health can look like. And even in your sense of taking what the doctors say and, okay, I just have to do that. But I also believe there's a lot we can do to prevent certain health issues such as diabetes and fatty liver disease and all these other kinds of things. You said until you got to the church. What? Talk a little bit more about that.
I think going to dialysis is not easy. I was the youngest person there. Everybody was old enough to be either my parent or my grandparent. To watch those people go out on the machine and faint, and you watch ambulances come pick them up on because they coded on machines or leaving Friday and coming back and they saying, oh, Miss or Mr. such and such has died and over the weekend. And, it was starting to get to me, because my thought process was, am I making it out of here?
Yes.
And during that time, they were saying that for the Black and brown community, the wait was at least 5 years, especially for my blood type, because so many of us are on the transplant list and so many of us are so uneducated about transplant that we refuse to become kidney donors because of, stuff we've heard or been told by people who've never gone through the process, so they believe some of everything. And so when I got there, the level of faith, I had no choice but to bring it up.
When you got to the church?
When I got to the church.
Okay.
Everybody around me was believing for something, and it didn't matter what it was. We were marching around the church. We had themes. We had different stuff going on that was connected to building faith, and when I saw that, I was thinking to myself, man, either I could be like some people who are a part of a church and never reap the benefits because they're disobedient or they're not active or interested. And church is not a hobby for me. I've been in church my whole life, but I love church. I believe in it. I know why I go. I know what I'm supposed to do there. So I was like, okay, let me jump in. And I still got my hammer to this day.
You remember that?
Yeah.
The theme for that year is Build It.
Yeah.
I think it was. And just thinking back on that. Well, so for people that don't know, we gave out hammers that night for those folk that were believing God to build something. We had a exceptional church, I believe.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm thinking back, just kind of look at some of the highlights at how, I'm going to use a word that somebody might not like, how magical it was.
It was.
And I think that the whole faith journey that you're talking about, we were taking the same journey ourselves, Alicia and I, and our family.
Yeah.
So much we had to believe God for. And to hear you even say that there were people believing God for, I guess this has made us a big faith family, is what it is. And, I think that believers ought to be challenged maybe to walk in more faith. One of the earlier episodes, we were talking about the fear that motivates people making a decision that they know a season is over and letting go of the old and grabbing on to something that's new. And that takes the faith to actually do it. I think about Tom Cruise, one of those action scenes where he's running, he's jumping across buildings from this building, that building. And one time I remember he got stuck on one side and the other building was right there. And the only way he's going to get there is if he let his hands go and grab on there. And I think that is the place and the time of where we as believers live, either on this wall or on that wall, and afraid to go to down there.
Yeah.
And so all right. So you said jump in feet first. Everybody's faithing for something.
Yeah.
Please continue.
And I knew what I needed. I knew what I desired. And I knew that it was for me. I didn't think it was my time to die. And I sure enough was hoping it wasn't, but I knew that if I kept going and I kept pushing, and I needed to connect to people that were doing that already, and so I got in there and I just was like, Lord, this is what I need. This is what my hammer is for. I'm building my faith. I'm building what I'm trying to do, what I need to do, and where I'm going. I'm building it all in one setting, and I need you to bless it. And everybody, we were praying and we were throwing in our casting in our papers of what we wanted God to do and different things like that. And it was just like, I felt it instantly. My mindset changed because for a while I was saying, why is this happening to me? And God is like, you didn't do nothing. You thinking you did something, you didn't do nothing. And I'm like, okay, from this day forth, I'm changing my speech, because I used to say, I'm suffering with this, I'm dealing with this. I'm like, I'm really not suffering. The government didn't want to give me the money. God gave me a church job. I didn't know where my faith was going. God gave me faith with a faithful church. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what I was dealing with in terms of who was leading this charge. God gave me some leaders, all in one building, and I text my preacher friends till this day and say, you don't know how many people you're leading that minister at churches where they're not being fed. Mm-hmm. All they can do is pour out. They don't get nothing back. I was blessed to be somewhere where I could receive spiritually and naturally. How
long had you been? And I don't make this a big commercial about the church. And by the way, for anyone that's listening, the church is the name of our church. It was called The Church. How long had you been there before you got word that the first transplant was going to happen?
I want to say I either came matter of fact, I came at the end of 16. I was there for New Year's Eve for 2017.
Okay.
The transplant came October 2017.
Well, I could say it's because you hooked up to the church.
Oh, no, I believe that wholeheartedly.
Or it could be that, you had been, how long had you been on dialysis prior to
4 years.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm just going to believe in my head that God sent you there.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
He did. Oh yeah, that's he just did a quick work in your body. Right. It's that church talk.
Yeah,
It's that church talk.
That's it.
No, but when you put the work in, I mean, because that kind of stuff will turn over in your mind and what did I do?
Yeah.
And the enemy wants to come in and make you think certain things. And I understand also that your journey is just reflective of where the Lord chose to plug you. All right. So there was this viral moment that happened. First of all, just kind of give us your dossier, your resume of some of the folk that you've worked with.
Okay. I probably started mid-teens with Colorado Mass Choir. And James Moore came to Colorado. My grandparents were pastored in Colorado. They had been in the military, retired in Colorado. My mother and her brother were born there. My parents met there. Then my dad got military. So all of that, this is how we got. I was raised in California, born in Hawaii, raised in California. And so we ended up moving to Colorado, probably when I guess I was in middle school, because my grandparents were getting older and getting sick, to help with the church and different things like that. And so James Moore came to Colorado and he heard I was at Greater New Life, Church of God in Christ, my granddad's church. And so we went to Denver for the jurisdictional meeting and James Moore was there, heard the jurisdictional choir, loved it. And I led On Christ, the Solid Rock. And I probably was maybe 15 or so. So he started this choir and that was the first time I got to sing with anything super huge like that. And then once they got their record deal solidified, they didn't want anybody really underage. So I guess I came back when Joe Pace took over. I might have been 17. And I did a few songs on probably most of their latter albums. I led at least one song on each one of those.
We talking about the Pace sisters, Joe Pace?
No, Joe Pace. I don't think he's related to the Pace sisters. But Joe Pace is an incredible writer. He was been writing songs for most of my life, but he took over Colorado Mass Choir.
Okay.
And that's when they had songs like Stir Up the Gift and, So Good, I Just Can't Tell It All.
Yep.
So I recorded that after the original.
You were leading that?
Mm-hmm. They redid it and
I
led that. Yeah. I was probably 18 or so.
Wow. Okay.
And they recorded that live in Nashville. So that was the first thing. Then we moved here after I graduated high school. We got here in like 2004 and I started singing with PJ Morton. And, that was an incredible journey. Sang with him for maybe 16 or 17 years.
How'd you end up with making relationship with PJ?
My best friend, Donald Wright III, he was on a Morehouse scholarship. And when that happened, Donald was on a Glee Club scholarship. Mm-hmm. He was unable to tour with PJ. Mm-hmm. So between him and Zebulon Ellis, they ended up connecting me to take on with PJ. Mm-hmm. And we kept going ever since then. And
did y'all have a chemistry?
Yeah. The friendship was great from the jump with everybody. You know what I'm saying? I think it was where I was supposed to be for sure. Mm-hmm. And he poured a lot into me. Of course, he produced my first album and it was just an amazing journey. I've learned so much about writing and recording and different things. He would let me record when he would be out of town at his studio at Artist Factory and different things. I just learned a lot there. I toured a bit with Dave Hollister. And that was great.
Were those your wayward years?
Oh, well, Dave is a church boy, so we connected on that level. I ended up, before they made him a bishop, he was the minister of music at a church in California. And so I would come there and be there with him. And then we would also travel. It's like a modern day Al Green, preaching and singing and winning.
Wait a minute, Dave Hollister?
Yeah. He's a bishop now in California. Got a wonderful church out there.
I never knew that part.
Called Place for Me. Yeah, it's a great
okay.
church.
All right.
So from there, we did a lot of different things with a lot of other different artists. Got to write a lot. Toured with James Fortune, Fred Hammond, wrote songs on their albums and different things like that. So it was a journey. Got to meet Kirk a few times and work with him. After the video. We worked a lot together. Before that, there were some opportunities, some different things we've done, but not on that level. And so I got to do the McDonald's gospel tour, a couple of cities. I opened up for Kier Sheard for a few cities, on her tour, and it just a lot of great opportunities that have come that way. And of course, Josh Groban, all of the secular things that came as well. But yeah, that's been my.
Who are you working with now? Like your most recent somebody that somebody would know, that someone in the audience would know. You still work with PJ?
Not as much. I mean, I think we're gonna do some more music on my album.
I was about to say, didn't you release a track with him?
That was the white girl JoJo. Well, yeah, she could sing. But yeah, I got all the follows though.
All right.
But yeah, she's amazing. But no, we did my album, of course. And we worked together on Amber Bullock's album and a couple other things we got to write together on. And so it was great working with him.
Man, I'm just kind of putting things in perspective because you've written for us as well.
Yeah.
And arranged some things.
Oh, yeah.
And, I knew you were writing for other people, but, just getting some perspective, even another blessing that God allowed you to be with us. I remember you would just write songs on the spot. You just be the music in the field, and here comes JoJo. Then you would start mixing songs. Remember that time I said, "Hey JoJo, do some Beyonce." So we sing it along in some kind of way. You got some Beyonce, then you cut your eyes open. Yes, man, you are amazing, and you're so gifted.
Thank you,
all right, so you kind of skipped over a little bit. You said, and this was before the video.
Yeah.
Talk, where were you in your life? Well, the video was with you and Kirk. You're singing, he's sitting on the stage. It's like one of those organic moments. Yeah. Do something for me. Tell me about what was going on in your life then, and bring me right to the moment, even as to how y'all connected. What created that moment?
I had been on dialysis for maybe a month or two. And this was the first time. And I was doing the McDonald's gospel tour, and I ended up getting sick and spending a few weeks in the hospital. And Kirk had allowed me to be able to come to another city to see him, because the 20 Years in One Night tour, the first night was Miami, second night was Atlanta. So we came to Atlanta, but I was sick. The doctor wanted me to get to the hospital right away. I said, okay, I'm going to stop by and say hey to Kirk and then first. Then I'm going to go to the hospital. And that's what I did. And so they set it up to where I could come see him in Jacksonville. And so got out the hospital, went back on the McDonald's gospel tour. I did Raleigh, I believe, opening up for Jonathan McReynolds. And then we drove, me and Jasmine Crumley drove from there to Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And they were like, if Kirk calls you, would you go up there? And I was like, well, I don't really know the song. I was nervous, and he called me up, and only thing I could think of, song was called Intercession. And I was just like, I haven't said anything to anybody. Nobody really knows I'm on dialysis. And honestly, I don't really care. Mm-hmm. But I need to talk to God right now. Mm-hmm. I don't like dialysis. It wasn't as painful as I thought it would be, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. And I mean, at this time, I had gotten some pretty big calls. There were some pretty big decisions that were being made with me in mind. And I had to pass all of that up to do dialysis. And I was angry. I was kind of hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because again, my mindset was like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And so when he called me up, he said, I'm going to give you the words. And, the words were, he intercedes for me, protects me from things unseen, right between God and me, he intercedes for me. So, I'm like at this part where it's like ad-lib time. And I'm like, I've been struggling with this kidney problem for too long. I've been dealing with it, the ups and downs of it. I got my children. My family is scared because the only other person with this disease in our family has died. And he had 2 sons, a wife, and 1 son on the way. And it's just like, man, I don't know where I'm at. So I was like, I just started talking to God through that moment. And I'm like, I need you to intercede for me. I need you to go to the Father, and tell God that I need something to happen. And if you can't bring me out, help me through it. You know what I'm saying? If I ain't supposed to make it out of it, help me to make it through it. I wasn't worried about the out. I was worried about the through. How I was going to survive the middle of this storm, the worst part. And so after that, we had to rush back to Atlanta because I was starting dialysis at 5 a.m. That was my first time at the clinic. They didn't know who I was. And I got there. It was a Sunday night. And Kirk and everybody prayed for me, and it helped me. And I slept most of the way there. I got to the clinic. I fell asleep again. I was tired. And I felt somebody tapping me. I'm like, who is this tapping me? It was the nurse, and she has this YouTube up. She says, is this you? And I say, yeah. By this time, it's almost 1 million views, and it's not
Overnight,
even 12 hours.
Yeah.
And it just was making its way around. And I was just in tears because I was thinking to myself, this storm, this season that I didn't ask to be a part of, that I didn't do anything to be a part of, he chose me. You know what I'm saying? And I just was thinking to myself, how do you survive a season that you know is yours, but you don't want it? You don't want it. And most people I see now in this, every week is somebody saying, I got to start dialysis. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be around for this. How do I make it? And I'm like, honestly, God will bless as you press. That's all I could tell you. And I know that sounds cliche-ish and like something churchy, but I knew that if I kept going through it, and I mean, it was tough. Leading worship, traveling, and trying to lead healthy people that didn't even really come to hear you. They came to hear who you opened it up for, or they really didn't come to be a part. They came to struggle, through service until whoever they want to hear or whatever they're there for pops up. And I will pray. I'm like, God, please give me the strength to lead healthy people to you.
Wow. While
I'm going to dialysis and I'm jumping on planes, and give me the grace to do it. And I didn't leave dialysis sleepy. I left and I would jump on them planes. Sometimes I did a radio tour. I drove myself. I would do treatment in the hotel. I was doing all types of things. And God was just saying, change your perspective. You're not struggling. You're thriving through something that's killing people every day. You're not supposed to die. And I didn't send you through this to die. And so I kept saying, God, I want to make you smile every day. I had to find Jesus in my day because it was so hard. Getting up at 4 a.m. to go sit in a chair for 4 hours while they put these massive needles in my arm to do what my body can't do no more. And, there were so many rumors and, he drank too much and he's sick and he's got this and he's got that. And I'm like, no, I was born with something I didn't know I had. Just the way it was. And the strength and the grace that he kept giving me to tour and to do things, and the doors he was opening because the government, you're making too much money. You're doing too much of this. And so they were putting a cap on what I could do in order to receive assistance. Insurance was like $500 a month just for me. At that time, that was a lot. Now it's, much more. But I was just like, Lord, I need your help. And then out of nowhere, the doors, just the provision. He took care of me. He made ways. He gave things to me that I didn't even know I needed. And I tell people any day, the miracle wasn't just a kidney. That was a miracle. But the miracle was the strength that I had to keep going. Yeah. You look at people from dialysis now, they're tired. They need a whole day to recover. I didn't need any of that.
Wow.
I kept going. I changed what I was doing. I listened to my doctor. Wow. I trusted her. She was praying for me. God gave me a doctor that prayed and believed. And she was praying for me every step of the way. And what the doctors wouldn't understand in the hospital, she would come right behind. No, we're not doing that. This is what we're doing. This is what we believe. And it was just different treatment. It wasn't like, no, we're just going to pray our way through it. It was prayer and medicine and common sense to listen to the doctor and what she told me to do. And I'm here. I'm here.
You've said so much there. But the part that resonated with me was in the middle.
Yeah.
I remember I preached, of course, Isaac does the song In the Middle, but I preached a sermon, making in the middle, or I don't remember, something about the middle place, because like you said, you know, people know where you are when you start, and you're full of faith. People know where you end up because you made it through,
right?
But it's the survival. And I can't help but to think about Jesus when he's in the Garden of Gethsemane, he's about to go down the cross so that you could be healed with 2 kidneys and whatever else it might be, and what anyone else might be in the middle of. He says, Father, let this cup pass from me.
Yeah.
Please, I don't want to do this. Please don't make me do it. But you start smiling when you said, I had to teach myself how to think differently. And that is so important. That is so important. I just want to take a minute to emphasize that. Dr. Stacy Johnson mentioned that the brain is a sponge, and that whatever you put in the brain takes and ingests, for lack of better words. So it depends on what you're saying to your brain. That's what determines how the brain will respond. And our whole thing is about teaching people how to see relationships and themselves in relationships differently.
Yeah.
And so now we're sitting here with you, and that same concept, you start feeding your brain, and your perspective changed. Your smile came back. Who would encourage? How would you become encouraged when you didn't feel like it?
Man.
Did God put people in your life?
He really did.
Was it a particular scripture? Was it, a good nap does it? What?
It was so many different things. I traveled for a couple of years with Bishop Morton as his assistant. So I would hear some of the greatest sermons of my life that I didn't know I needed because I wasn't sick. I never thought they were in one ear and out the other, but I didn't know when I would need to apply it. Mm-hmm. Sermon that kept sticking with me was good success. Mm-hmm. Don't let the word depart from your mouth. Meditate night and day, and then you will have good success. So I held on to that. I was holding on to that every day. I'm going to have good success. Then one day I ended up driving, my girlfriend at the time, praise God, we ended up driving to Houston. And my best friend, Brian Nelson, has a church in Houston called Jericho City. I went there one night, just popped in there to surprise him. And he was preaching a sermon called God's Gonna Make It Up to You. And I told myself that every day. Not that he did anything wrong, but the stuff that I was willing to let go so I could go his way, was stuff that I could have been a millionaire by now. The things that could have happened had I just done my own thing. But I was ready to do what he wanted me to do. I knew I wasn't here for no reason, and so when I heard him preach that God's going to make it up to you, and I just was like, man, the what I thought was suffering became the greatest season of my life. What I thought was going to be the worst season became the greatest season of my life. And I held on to different things like that. I would listen to Bishop Patterson all the time, and the stuff that he was preaching was helping me. Bishop Jakes. It was just stuff that I started doing that I wasn't doing before, finding a way. Fred Hammond wrote a song called Find a Way. Even though my heart is low, I'll find a way to give you praise. I will find a way to love you more. I would listen to that over and over again. Marissa Farrow preached a sermon, Grace for the Thorn. And I wrote a song called Grace for the Thorn, which I haven't put out yet, so don't steal my song. But, it's basically saying, if I'm supposed to live with this thorn, if this is something that I can survive, give me grace for the thorn. If you're not taking it away, give me the grace for it. Then I held on to that video that so many people, and I met John Hannah one time during this time, and he was like, there goes the man that has the whole world praying again. And I had so many social media messages. There's still so many now that it was so many people that were saying, I haven't prayed in years. I stopped believing God, such and such, and today I prayed for you. So many different things that were coming to encourage me, let alone this album that I wrote 10 years ago that we put on hold because I was so sick. I needed those songs. So for 10 years, those songs ministered to me before anybody ever got to hear them.
Wow.
The only song we wrote new was Never Left Me Alone. And that's
one of my favorites.
Yeah. PJ wrote pretty much my story in one song. So it's like there were different pathways. And then by the time I made it to the church, God was like, okay, this is where I have you, because these are people that may not be in your situation, but their faith is just as big as where yours needs to be. Mm. And you could not tour with the likes of whoever was calling at the time because their faith was not the same. Mm. I didn't need sympathy and different things like that. I needed something that could build me spiritually because I knew that if it was here, I could survive it. Once I gave up, I was going to die. It just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And the way it worked out was crazy. I had, what I'm saying? It coming from California, a lot of the larger bishops and stuff I didn't hear about till I got here. I didn't know who Bishop Morton was. I never heard of your father. These are people that were telling me, what I'm saying? We didn't hear it, So when I got here, I was like, this church overload. This is good church, but it was like those people, that many people that have no idea the part of my success physically and mentally, I couldn't tell them all, but the ones I can reach, that's what I do. Make sure they know, I've held on by songs and sermons and watching even your moments, how you handled it, how Pastor A handled it, how your family handled it. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that you overcame, all in the name of what you said earlier, legacy. How can you have legacy if you're not well here, and here? You fought for it, and it just strengthened me and so many others that, probably won't let them come back and tell you or whatever the case may be. But I'm here to tell you, you and your family and what y'all have endured and pressed through has been an inspiration, to say the least. To see somebody handle something and then say, hey, I need you to take this ball and keep running with it while I sit on the sideline for a minute so I can be of some use, not just to this church, but to you and the rest of our family. So many people don't do it. And mentally, a lot of people are in that place. When I get their messages, mentally, they're more destroyed than they are physically because their mindset is so, they're literally heartbroken, at the stuff that God allowed them to go through. And I'm like, no, you just don't see it right now. He's not doing this to you. He's doing it for you. Don't fumble the season. And you didn't fumble the season. You just passed it off. And the church we had. And then when you came back, the church we had. You know what I'm saying? It's like, those are the examples that I needed. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's funny how God puts a picture in front of you to give you vision of where you can be.
Yeah.
But it's also even more ironic when the picture you're looking at is looking at another picture.
Yeah.
And I think that these mirror moments, they make us.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting here thinking about how you have been able to encourage people because of what you made it out of.
Yeah.
I think that's why you have testimonies. I think that's why God probably allowed, because the scripture says God won't put sickness on us.
Yeah.
But we do live under a curse. When Adam and Eve got kicked out, and that's when God comes back, a new heaven, a new earth, the curse will be removed. A whole lot of theology. But I want to go back to something. How do you suffer? How do you suffer well? Because here's my point. Here's my thing. The whole concept of this is to help people establish legacy on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know when I said it, but this is like a hack.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people go through so much when somebody else could have helped them get through there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my heart. I didn't have a whole lot of people that I could have modeled or challenged me to leave something that would still be here when I was no longer.
Yeah.
And yes, there have been some moments that have been rough. I feel like I've suffered in many regards.
Mm-hmm.
How would you help someone? What would you tell someone or enumerate, however it is you want to do it? How do you suffer well?
I think you have to find a way to advocate your time to every part of that season. For instance, the moments that I needed to cry and to hurt and complain, I chose one person that could handle it and that would love me through that moment. Then the moments that I needed to celebrate, I celebrated those moments, no matter how big the win was. It's Friday. I got dialysis 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Ready for another week. I celebrated every single moment. Went to the doctor. The numbers are good. Celebrated that moment. They told me you qualify for the kidney transplant list. I celebrated that moment. Then I learned how to posture myself to where my praise and my worship didn't suffer because of the season I was in.
Good Jesus.
So this is cry day. I knew that was the only way that I could make it out of there, because what he gave me was my way. It was my moment. It was my safe space, and I didn't need anybody to be there. It was my audience of one. So I could not let anything and anybody destroy my safe space. So my praise and my worship were off limits. When I got up there, it didn't matter who was there. I don't hear music. I don't hear a praise team. I hear my heart, my sincerity to God. It's a sound that I have to get through to him. And so once I help you get to a space, I'm leaving you there. The rest is up to you.
Yeah.
But I have somewhere to be, because this decides my week. This decides how I make it through bad treatment or bad news or bad anything. This is my safe space. I needed it. I could not let what my current situation was dictate how I handled my praise and worship. I was giving it. I was doing it all through that time, everywhere I went. People say, oh, you cry a lot. I said, because you don't understand what these tears mean. These aren't tears of hurt and tears of agony and tears of frustration. These are survival tears. I went through too much to try to act so manly that I can't cry in my season. I needed to let that go. Inside of these tears are bad news and messed up relationships and screwed up situations that I put myself in, but I worshiped my way through every single one of them moments. And so I couldn't let anything stand in the way of that. Then I told myself every day, I don't care what today looks like. I just want to see you smile. I got to figure out how to keep him smiling, how I can make Jesus proud when I'm so frustrated. I wanted to suffer well and successfully, and I did that. And then once I realized, I said, oh, I'm not suffering. I'm thriving. I'm surviving through a season that have killed so many. And then my worship just went up even more. Then the pandemic came. And I was like, okay, now he's forcing me to be by myself because I'm too sick to let anybody in my house. I'm too sick to be around anybody. I couldn't go to the gym no more. I couldn't do all the things that I was starting to get into to save my own life. Mm-hmm. So when I went into that church, our worship went up. Nobody was in there. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they felt at home. Mm-hmm. But me, you, and Pastor A, we felt God in that building. And I was just like,
with them stems.
With them stems.
Yep.
And I was just like, God, this, I don't know what you're doing, but I surely trust it. And I just kept saying, I've been through too much darkness not to come out and see the light. Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle of this tunnel. It's so dark in here, I don't even know where I'm at in this journey. Mm-hmm. But I know somewhere there's light. And I kept saying that to myself. Don't give up in the middle. Don't give up in your dark place. Because you could be so close to that light and then you give up and die. Now you don't see it. I struggled through too much.
Yes, sir.
Not to see myself healed and not to see my success in this thing come through. And I fought like a dog through mental stuff, through people, through just all types of stuff, thinking, maybe this ain't for me to come out of. But I started telling people, that's why I told them, I said, I'm going to be healed one of three ways. Either this kidney is going to start working, I'm going to get a transplant, or I'm going to heaven. So either way, I'm healed. So whatever y'all think is supposed to happen, and I couldn't let everybody pray for me.
Yeah.
I was grateful.
Yeah.
But what I heard and what I took in was those people that I knew, knew what they were praying. Because I started telling my family, stop praying me out. Stop trying to pray me out. Don't pray me out. Pray me through. Because whatever I'm going through is for somebody else. It's too big now. Viral videos, viral moments, and going to places that I've never been, and people coming and saying, I've been on dialysis for 15 years. Can I just hug you? I don't know what it feels like to touch somebody that's had a transplant. These people that think that that's all they can do.
Wow.
Is do dialysis and go home. And their faith is so low, they don't even know what to believe for anymore. That's how I made it. That's how I suffered well. And then I saw it come out on the other side, and I was like, okay, here we are. But even in that, I was like, God, how do I now take what I've been through and push somebody else? I tell them, I'm connecting my faith with yours. And my faith says that whatever God did for me, he does it for you quicker. And it's been happening every time. People been on less time than me. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Y'all don't know. When you know God hears you, it's like, man, it's a feeling you can't even explain. To pray for a thing and to believe for a thing. And God says, it's not just your time, it's your turn. And so while I look at the music stuff and everything going on with that, I'm grateful. I haven't reached where I'm going, but I'm still going. There's still songs to write. There's books to write. There's movies to write. There's shows to do because we don't talk about this topic enough in the Black community. And unfortunately, most of the people will be on dialysis by the time they're in their 50s.
Why?
We don't eat right. We don't go to the doctor enough. We don't pay attention to our bodies. We're focused now on doing as much as we can while we can, instead of taking our time to do what we're able to do. So when I see people asking me, they say, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm not educated. I said, that's okay. I'm here to educate you. Then I'm going to send you this stuff so you continue to educate yourself, because you do not know what your body is going to do if you do not see the doctor. It's a lot of people feeling good and dropping dead of heart attacks. You don't know your body like you think you do. So it's very important that our community, especially church people, I could walk out of here and eat a box of Popeyes by my own self right now. But thanks to you and Pastor A, I have diminished my fried food capacity, praise God. But I learned how to cook the things I love. I learned how to prepare meals at home. I learned how to do stuff so that in that season of what I thought was suffering, I could be as successful as possible. God didn't need my help, but if he did, I wanted him to look down and see. I wasn't eating whatever I wanted to eat. I wasn't out doing whatever I wanted to do. I was going to my treatment. I was doing what the doctor told me to do. I wanted to be where I needed to be so that just in case he took a check, he could see that I took it seriously. And what I desired was healing.
That is so dope. I mean, just the participation with God.
Yeah.
I think that God is waiting for a lot of us to participate with him, not just do it for us.
Yeah.
Almost finished. Tell us about your kids. You got 5?
No way.
4?
I got 3 kids, praise
3.
God.
I was thinking about somebody else.
No, I'm kidding. No. Don't put all them kids on me.
I was thinking about somebody else.
I'm through. Praise God.
You probably know who I'm talking about.
I do. Absolutely.
Yeah. All your kids by the same woman?
No. I was a Rolling Stone.
Mm.
So I have 3 children by 3 baby mamas in 3 different states.
One thing that you learned.
By 3 women. I apologize. I won't be calling my baby mamas.
There we go.
3 wonderful women. Thank you.
There we go. There we go. One thing that you learned in that total area of your life.
Yeah.
So 3 kids, 3 different women, 3 different states. One thing you learned about yourself?
I'm not as great as I thought I was. I'm not the father that my father was to me like I thought I would be. And I don't deserve applause for the things that I should do for my children.
Dang.
These are things that I'm supposed to do, and I'm not great at it. I'm working on it every day to be better, to build my relationships so that my children see me how I see my father. Working on it. I tell my children, you're not my fans. Your friends, your church people, they may know me from one area, but you don't never have to know me like that. I don't need that from you. I'm your dad, and I'm always going to be that. And whatever areas, I told Kirk one time that he had this episode of Kingsmen where they were talking about their relationships with their children. And I told him, I said, man, this changed me and how I approach my relationships, especially with my 2 sons, because, you feel like you got to be hard. You feel like you got to be tough, and you feel like you got to be, and really it's like what I really need to be is understanding. Because what it's like to be a child now, I didn't deal with that stuff. I mean, these 10 and 12-year-olds killing themselves and, they're having sex at 9 and 10. And, I waited till I was 18 because I didn't want kids, and I still got 3 kids. But the point I'm making, praise God, is...
It's only you could say it, JoJo.
The point I'm making is that what I am learning is that my applause shouldn't come because I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a father, especially for 3 women that are there with them every day in and day out, doing what a mother does, a good mother especially. And so I don't deserve an applause for that. I'm there. And any way that I could figure out how to be there more, even from this distance, planes fly, cars drive, trains, choo-choo, all of that type of thing. There's so much more, so many other levels that I could be there to achieve success in fatherhood, to raise successful children, not just financially, but successful mentally, physically, and they need that.
Yeah.
And I have to step up and do that.
I think that there's a switch that's happening in Black fathers. I posted something on my IG here recently about a dad who was helping his son achieve something that his son was struggling for. And I don't think that Black men get enough credit for what they are doing right. I don't think that Black women get enough credit for taking up the slack,
Yeah.
whether it's taking up the slack for the father or on the job, doing more, whatever it is. So no thanks to what you've done for your kids.
I mean, I'm grateful. Every pat on the back, I'll take it in stride. But in my mind, I'm thinking to myself,
that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to do something.
Sure.
What song has been on your heart recently? Song that may be on repeat in your head that you can think of.
Man, there's so many.
All right. So one of the ones that I may know the words for, or the lyrics, because, I don't know no words. I can hum along with.
Let's see. For Your Glory, I've been on heavy. Because that's just my headspace.
That would be so complimentary and a perfect way to end this episode. Would you mind?
Sure. Let's see. Give it to the Lord. Lord, if I find favor in your sight, Lord, please hear my heart's cry. I'm desperately waiting to be where you are. I would cross the hottest desert. I'll travel near or far for your glory. I will do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King. For your glory, I will do anything just to see you, to behold you as my King. I want to be where you are. I gotta be where you are. Said I wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are. I wanna be where you are. Gotta be where you are.
You left us. You went there. Man, I love you.
I love you.
I thank you.
Grateful. So grateful.
Quiet will always remind us. You remember Mr. JoJo would say, live, 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 live.
Still singing it to this day. Yeah.
Man, we speak life over you.
Thank you, sir.
Full life, abundant life. Thank you for sharing
with
me and this audience, and even helping us see how we can be more deliberate in establishing our own legacy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.